Welcome to the Atheist Podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Kelley. Atheist is where we will explore American cultural trends through the lenses of a devout theist
and a devout atheist. We will discuss the messiness of being human,
the latest in social science, psychology, and American culture,
and what any of it has to do with Homo sapiens' longtime preoccupation with religion. Hey, Kelley.
Hey, friend.
How's it going? I'm good. You look very angelic. You've got a like a halo going on here.
I know. My white hair on top of my head is just being hit by the sun, and it's top of my head is absolutely like nuclear glowing. Yeah, it's a little crazy. I'm super excited about today.
Yes, we are kicking off our book discussion and sort of like I don't know, life I don't know what it was, your life application of the text. Just discussing kind of how we're moving through the book and how we're seeing it incorporated into our lives.
Yeah. This is it's a very dense little book with lots of wisdom packed in. And I think
Which is par for the course when it comes to, I mean, Oliver Burkeman, um, you know, oh my God, I'm blanking on the title, The 4,000 Weeks.
4,000 Weeks.
Yeah, the average 80 years of human life in weeks. That's a small book too. I mean, I think it's if it might be about this size, maybe a little bit longer, but just like, yeah, every page is sort of packed with wisdom that you could read at different points in your life, and they would just kind of wash over you differently at those different junctures, I think.
Agreed. And it's his wisdom, but he has really been like a seeker of knowledge. And so in every little chapter, and this book is separated into 4 weeks, and each week there's a different day. So you can kind of go day by day. And he quotes so many different people, has so many different references, that I feel like there's something for everybody here in terms of like, real great wisdom.
Yeah, and I like that he also kind of gives you some insight into his own life and the way that he's applying this into his own life. And also the thing that I appreciate, similar to when we did the Let Them book and discussion about that, the thing that I really liked about Mel Robbins was also that, she was willing to say, hey, I have screwed this up. I have not always been good at this. It's something that I am in the practice of trying to be better at, right? And that is what life is. I think maybe that's one of the takeaways, is that life is a practice and that we all don't know everything and we're all trying our best to get better every day. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I think he says that very specifically. He talks about it's funny, he talks about like what it means, what it sounds like he's talking about in one of the chapters. He's like talking about starting something and that you want to do, and like doing it for a small amount of time, and then just like doing it today, and then maybe you do it in a couple days, maybe you don't, maybe you do it in a week, but doing something today without any expectation of doing it again. And that eventually maybe, and I thought he was going to say habit, maybe it will like develop into a habit, but he doesn't use the H word. He uses the P word. And he says,
practice.
No, yeah, it's going to become a practice. Which the difference between practice and habit, I feel like there's something really like,
I don't know how different they are. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, practice offers a certain kind of intention, where habit kind of means almost unintentional, like it's become something that you don't even realize you're doing.
Yes, I would agree with that. I feel like habit feels mechanistic. It feels like dutiful, and
Mm-hmm.
will bound. And practice feels, like you said, intentional, um, something we aspire to, something that is changeable and doesn't necessarily have like consistent, doesn't have necessarily a consistent pattern. We try to have a consistent pattern, but it's not, necessary for it to be a practice.
Yeah.
Whereas like a habit, if you have a habit, it's kind of assumed it's going to happen every day or it's going to happen regularly. So there's kind of grace, I think, in a practice, whereas I feel like in a habit, it feels pressure filled.
Yeah. I never really I didn't really think of much about the term practice before I met Lauren because they met physicians, they talk about like you practice medicine.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I don't know if that's like the origin of it. I feel like that's one of the ways that I've heard it used in sort of
Yeah.
a professional setting. And it's interesting because, now obviously like I have much better understanding of sort of like how the medical establishment works and like how the people in it are trained and how they do their jobs. I think that, a lot of folks sort of see, oh, okay, if you're a physician, you should know how to do everything, right? Or that
Right.
you're like and you are in a way, like you're the most well-trained individual that's like in that
Out there.
environment.
Right.
But things change, information changes, and there's a big difference from, hey, I'm like, a resident versus like I'm 1 year, I'm out of residency versus I've been doing this for 10 years or 20 years, right? And
Right.
like there's it's always a practice and you're always learning.
Right. And we assume that the more you do something, the more you practice something, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that fits into but that's
Well,
when I think of that term, that's what comes to my mind.
yeah. And I think a lot of what he talks about, well, first of all, I would say, so I think what you just mentioned, the idea of, practicing something is part of what the through line here that he talks about in this book. I think kind of the through line that he talks about in this book is something that I find very compelling and very important in how I try to live my life, which is um, the fact that reality, what is real and what is true, is the thing that we need to attach ourselves to.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting in the context of my belief system and your belief system, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've said this before that one of my teachers, Richard Rohr, said one of the things he said in one of a class I took with him was reality is the greatest ally. Did he say ally? Ally of God or um, resource of God? Like God, that God uses reality to work with us. And um, I think that's true. And I think a lot of people, we don't live in what is real and true. We kind of like to tell ourselves stories. So I think that is a huge through line for him is what is true? Like what is real? Let's work
Mm.
with what is real and let's stay there because
Yeah.
that's all we can do.
Yeah.
Um, so jumping off of that, when we look at day one, so day one is it's worse than you think, which I love. It's just like he's like, let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
Um, so he talks about the fact that we hold on to this story that someday we're gonna get it all done, or we're gonna figure it all out, or we're gonna get our lives all together. We're gonna have our home is gonna be perfect, our mental state is gonna be perfect, our families are gonna be well organized, and everybody's gonna be living well, and our goals are gonna be achieved, and that's when that's when we can finally start enjoying our life. And what he says is that never happens.
Yeah. And the quicker you can recognize that that's not like you're never going to get all the things done. There's just sort of like there's only this many hours in a day.
Mhm.
I sort of look at it like, I mean, there are certainly times where I feel like, oh my gosh, there's not enough time to get all the things done. But I also really do sort of, to me, that's more of like a triage
Yeah,
system. It's
yeah,
like, well, what has to be done today? Okay, this is what has to be done today. I'm gonna that, to kind of your point of like living in reality, which I think he's sort of saying is what is real in this moment that you are
yes,
facing.
right,
Not the anticipated thing that maybe is real in the future or maybe won't be real in the future. Certainly the thing that is may or may not be real is not to be worried about, but like, you know what I mean? You just have
yeah,
to, yeah, you have to be able to sort of live in the moment of like what has to be done today, but also like making sure that in that what has to be done today, there's space for you to like live a full life that you
correct.
enjoy.
Correct. I kind of look at it as like I took a surfing class once. This is years
Yes.
ago. And I don't think I ever actually got up on my surfboard, but I did do like it was like Surf Diva camp or something. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of look at it like surfing. Like if you are a surfer, right? And you're waiting for that perfect wave and you're not going to surf until it's that perfect wave, you're never going to surf, right? You're going to miss out on so many opportunities. So it's like you have to go in to the chaos of the wave and you have to ride the wave that is there
Yep.
and adjust to what is happening. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's that it is I wholeheartedly agree. I think people I don't know. I think a lot of people are afraid of that.
Yeah, it's
Afraid
scary.
of riding that wave, afraid of something that might feel like change or I don't know. There's a lot of resistance to that way of being.
Sure. Absolutely. It's
Um,
scary.
yeah.
It's scary. And we don't always do it. But but life is, what he said, like he says, we're supposed to kind of inhabit the turbulence, not master it.
Mm,
And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and and that when we can do that, there's actually a way in which we can relax in that space.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, I think this is like somewhat tangential. Maybe this is not exactly to the heart of what we're talking about, but it is kind of like living in the like we have a lot of discussions in our house. So like we both my wife and I like to travel and um when we're like putting together a budget for like the year and thinking about like the things we could do or blah 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 and like is always like she's very conservative when it comes to which is good, which is a good thing from like a financial standpoint, but she's like, are we spending too much on travel? And I'm like, we say, we are really diligent about saving money, like we will die someday.
That's right.
And if we like we should do some of these things now while we like have good mobility and like we're it's like, and also like we're not promised tomorrow. I mean, just we were just talking to some friends earlier today where we know a couple of people who've just recently passed away in like their 50s or early 60s, and it's like, well, nobody is promised
Right.
this, and so I don't know. I am a believer in like you kind of there's got to be balance. It's like you want to plan for the future, that you will have a future, but at the same time like we are not promised that either. So let's make sure that we also are living now.
That's right. That's right. Um, and to that, let's jump to day two because that kind of jumps into what he talks about in day two, which is kayaks and super yachts. Uh, and this idea that this kind of difference of like, I'm in a kayak, I'm paddling. I'm barely kind of keeping things afloat. And yet here are these super yachts and everybody else is in a super yacht, and yet I'm in this kayak. And and he kind of says, everybody's in a kayak.
Yeah. Yeah. What was funny was when I read that title, I was like, I have, and it's not a super yacht, but I have been in a kayak and in a yacht this year.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, our most, well, when we just went to, we were in Vermont and I took the kids, we were kayaking in Lake Champlain, which was awesome. And there's like the Green Mountains, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of like travel, right? And
Yeah.
then, we went to Mexico, which I think we've talked about on here, in the winter time for our friend's 50th birthday. And they like planned all these dinners, and but we went on a yacht, and it was pretty bougie, but it was pretty fun, and it was
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um yeah, I was like, I wonder where he's going with this kayak and yacht thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So what did you think? What did you think of this kind of this idea of kind of embracing the kayak, and knowing that we kind of have to live moment by moment, right? That we have more kind of agency in terms of like our direction, and that's where the strength is, and there's kind of power in humility.
Yeah, well, and I think kind of contrasting those experiences, and they're both like amazing experiences. They're very different experiences,
Yeah.
but from like a physicality standpoint, like the kayak to me is preferable, actually,
Yeah.
right? Like the feeling of like you're the feeling of you being in the water and sort of what you're suggesting, right? Like actually sort of in more in control of what's happening and kind of the agency and the exertion. Like you just feel more in it. And it's not that I mean, you are experiencing both moments, right? But there's just a difference in terms of like the mental engagement that the activity requires, I think also. Like, I mean, in my mind, I would much rather, like, if I had to choose how I'm going to see the world at the end of the day, like, I probably am going to choose the kayak, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you have more. Yeah. Um, yeah.
But if
And-
someone offers to put me on a yacht for like the afternoon, I'm
right.
going to say yes.
I'm not gonna turn it away. Yeah. So, but this idea that like everyone's actually in a kayak, like we're all just kind of floating down the river, figuring it out as we go. Um, and this idea of kind of the comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy. Um,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And expectations, or there's one, oh gosh, or maybe I'm now getting multiple books confused that I'm reading at the same time. That's possible, but I think that's actually what's happening. But there that expectations setting matters so much,
yeah,
like in the way that we all experience anything in life, right? It's
yeah,
like the more we ramp up our expectations of something, the more like, and that like I feel like that's one thing I've really tried to adopt in my just like existence is to not have a lot of expectation about how something is going to go one way or the other,
mhm,
and just kind of experiencing it as it is. And then I always find that I have enjoyed the experience, right? Because I haven't placed this like extra weight on it. I remember when I was young, I used to do that more, like where it was like birthdays mattered a lot, or like you know what I mean, like that you like placed this greater weight on stuff, and you're kind of, as I've gotten older, it's like what is the point of that? Like
right.
it's like weird for me to think now that I used to do that then, that I don't
Yeah,
do that anymore.
yeah, 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 yeah. I know, right? Well, yeah, God. Like,
Okay,
well,
but again, and this isn't in this book, but I will say this anecdote about
yeah.
expectations because I remember now where I just read this, which is it was actually this like marketing research thing, and apparently like a lot of marketing research is done with wine because it's like people create a lot of expectations in their minds about like where wine is from and like what, so like you would take the same wine, right? And you'd say this wine is from California, and you'd give that to one group, and you'd say this wine is from North Dakota, and it's the exact same thing. But then the people that are drinking the North Dakota wine are like, I don't like this as much as
Oh,
the
yeah.
California people, even though it's
I
the
would
same.
totally do that.
Yeah.
I would
And
totally be
then
that
the
person.
same was true of like, well, you're going to drink an $100 bottle of wine, and you guys get the $10 bottle of wine. Like they don't know what, but
Right.
the people that have the $100 bottle of wine are like, oh my gosh, this is so much
Maybe
better. It's enhanced the meal so much more. And
I did. I will tell you though, I would totally be that person.
well,
But
we all are. I mean, that's the
we
point,
all
right?
are.
That we all are that person.
I have had a glass of wine. I had a bottle of wine that was given to me once, and I brought it to a friend's house and I opened it and I took a sip of it and I was like, oh my God, this wine is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
I'm not like a wine connoisseur,
Uh-huh.
but like I definitely tasted this wine and I was like, this is good wine. So
Mm-hmm.
then I like looked it up and I was like, oh my God, this is a $200 bottle of wine. And I texted the person who gave it to me. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Giving me a $200 bottle of wine. I just brought it over to my friend's house while we're eating pizza.
Right, right. And they're like, this is the best pizza ever
This is the
paired
best
with
pizza
this
ever.
wine. Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
was kind of proud of myself for at least identifying the fact that it was good.
Yeah, no. I mean, what's funny is that we all think like, oh, I could definitely identify that, or
Yeah.
and there was another one that most people, if they were blindfolded, couldn't even tell the difference between white and red.
What?
Which I'm like,
Well,
please put me in that competition. I feel like I could tell the differance.
yes, I hope they could. But also, I mean, most people can't tell the difference, couldn't name whether you were sad or angry. So,
Right, right, right,
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sad and this is red wine. No, actually, you're angry and this is white wine.
Yeah. Oh
Oh
man.
my gosh. Okay, moving on to day three.
Okay, day three.
I love this. I thought this was a really good day.
Mm,
This one is you need only face the consequences. And this idea of really, we can make whatever decisions we want to make. When people are like, oh, no, you can't do that. Yeah, actually, I can. I can do whatever I want. But what I can't do is avoid the consequences, whatever I want to do.
mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the problem, the problem is not in making the wrong choice. The problem is like in not making a choice. So he gives an anecdote about a friend of his who was like was in, not a good marriage, and it was clear that this marriage was ending, but yet like there was going to be so much, pushback. He had kids. His parents were really conservative. He was going to be kind of outcast from like friends, and there was all these consequences if he was going to end his marriage. But then staying and kind of gritting his teeth was also not a great option. So he kind of was just waiting to see if there was a third option.
Yep.
Third option does not come along. Oftentimes, a lot of people in those situations, that's when like a third party becomes involved because that kind of helps to make the decision, for us or whatever. Or,
Yep.
so we kind of start to sabotage things as opposed to kind of stay in
Making the decision, actually
make,
making the
making the
decision.
decision and staying in a place of, you
Yeah.
know, you know, authenticity.
Yeah.
And, he's like, you can make either decision. You just need to kind of face the fact that there's going to be consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. No, it reminded me of I don't remember if you remember that anecdote from the Let Them book. She talks about that there was like a follower of hers or whatever, a reader that reached out to her, and he was like, I'm engaged.
Oh, yeah.
I want to, like, I don't think we should get married. We are like already have the date booked. We've paid for everything. Everybody's families are super excited. Like he proposed to her,
Yeah.
and he's like, how do I get out of this? Right. And you're like, obviously you need to get out of it, but it's so hard to to do that, right?
Right.
And it's exactly this, which is like you like sometimes doing the thing that's right for you means that they're gonna, that it's gonna be hard. Like that it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
gonna be hard
hard.
for you and it's gonna be hard for other people.
Yeah.
And my daughter says this, and I'm sure I've said this on here before. And I'm sure my daughter got this from something she read, but but this has been a powerful kind of mantra in her life is you choose your hard, right? Because it's going to be hard, like there's going to be consequences to whatever your choice you make now, but if you just avoid making the choice, there's going to be chances are the consequences to whatever choice you make later when you're forced to make the choice
Yep.
is going to be the consequences are actually going to be greater. Right.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. She's very wise to know that now.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought so too. And it's helped her. It's helped her kind of do some really hard things. Um, yeah. And, so he talks in this, freedom comes not from finding the perfect path, but from committing to one and accepting what it brings. And I think that's, I think, again, what is real? What is true? Real and true are not perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to say that one more time. Real and true are not perfect. Um, but they can be good,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Can be really good. It can be
can
really
be
good.
really good. Um, Good doesn't have to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
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 Um, all right.
Day 4.
Day 4, against the productivity debt. So this idea that we live in this kind of like he talks a lot in this little chapter about like the unread books and unfinished emails and
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah.
all the things that we need to do and this idea that we have this debt that we need to make up for that constantly keeps us with this in this state of dissatisfaction, right? Like we're not living up to our potential, we're not doing all the things. And in this, he talks about kind of putting this, on its head. And he encourages us to write a done list, which I have been doing this for years. When I make a to-do list, which to-do lists definitely help me. And I will tell you the thing I love about a to-do list is the anxiety that I experience about stuff that I have to do is not in doing the things. It's in all the little things I know I need to do, but I don't know what you don't, my brain is not like a steel trap. Like,
No, yeah, you forget sometimes the things that you need. That I agree. I'm the same way. Like I like try to do the same thing. I keep a to-do list so that when I finish something, I'm like, okay, what was I supposed to do next, right? And then you go back to the to-do list. You're like, oh yeah, that thing. I could do
that
that,
thing,
you know?
I can do
Yeah.
that. That doesn't take that long, or
Yeah.
that's not hard. Right. And so and then there's such a feeling of of, you know,
Oh, accomplishment when you can just
accomplishment, you check it
check that
off.
off. Yeah.
But the thing that he encourages you to do is is also like at the end of the day, or even as you're doing your to-do list, like put a done list. He goes like, and you can put in whatever you want. If
Add some other stuff.
if
Yeah.
you want to say make coffee, you know, you can put that on and check it off. If
Yep.
you,
Yep.
you know, if you want to put in like whatever you want to do, it doesn't have to be productivity. It can be, oh, I spent some time editing my poem today, or
Yeah.
I painted some birds, which I did yesterday. I painted some watercolor birds. Great. Was it productive? I don't know, but I did it. It's done. It was fun.
Yeah.
I'm a different person now because I did it. I don't know,
That's
right?
awesome.
So put
Yeah.
it on my list. Check it
Yeah.
out. You can put whatever the hell you want on that. But he encouraged you to do that because it nurtures contentment and it builds kind of a momentum of not of productivity, I would say, but of just a sense of accomplishment and, you know, I don't know, valuing your time for the things that, are really
Yeah, that you
valuable.
spend time on. Yeah.
Right. Like, what do
Yeah.
you really actually spend time doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I
Do you
like
ever
it.
do that? Do you ever put stuff on your list?
To cross it off.
Yeah,
I
just
not
crossing.
not with a lot of frequency.
You should.
I used to do it more when I like I used to have like I used to do it just like a notepad,
Yeah,
and now I have it on my computer, which doesn't have the same. I mean, it still like keeps track of stuff, but it's a little different, in terms of,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Also,
I
there's just like so many things on that list anyway. It's like I don't need to add anything to this list.
oh, but you can as soon
I
as you've
know.
done it. Why not?
I know.
Um,
Ugh.
I use the app I use for my notes is an app called Bear, like Bear.
Okay.
And I really like it. It's like $1.20 a month or something. And it can be on your computer or on your phone. And it's just a great, I don't know, I find it a great app. And it has, you can do it like it'll make little boxes, it'll check. I mean, it does everything like the Notes app does, but it like crosses stuff off. I don't know why I like it. It's searchable. I don't know.
Yeah.
As a note-taking app, check it out, our readers, if you are interested. I found it to be really helpful. Okay.
Then that, yeah, day five. I was like, did he steal my thing? I think I've written like a blog post with this.
Oh,
Too much
oh
information
yeah.
thing. Yeah,
We've
yeah,
talked about this. Yeah.
yeah.
I've written a blog post about this too.
It's just, oh God, it's so true. I mean, so like, I like the phrase, what did he say? The way he described it, he's like, where it used to be like, maybe you felt like, you were searching for a needle in a haystack, right? Now you're just like searching through a pile of needles. Like
Yeah.
it's that there's so much content. There's lots of it is junk, but like there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's just way too much stuff that you could consume, right? And like trying to be like, oh, this is going to be the perfect thing, or like punishing yourself for consuming this instead of that. And it's like, hey, especially in this, I think where he kind of landed was in this environment of information overload.
Yeah.
If there is something that you can do with sustained attention, good. Like,
Right.
like whether it's reading a novel or a nonfiction book, or I mean, probably even like just watching a movie, like a full movie, those because he's like, it's not so much about the information that you retain. It's
Mhm.
more about just like the way that it shapes your mind,
Yep.
the way that you kind of, I think, develop empathy, the way that you develop critical thinking, all of that matters, and like that's one of the things that I think I have noticed the most with this like environment of too much information, specifically like too much social media or short form content, is
Yep.
that it seems to have developed increasing lack of empathy in humans, for other humans. Um, it seems to completely like people seem to not have critical reasoning skills at all. Like it's
Yep.
like they just sort of run with like the information that, or like the story that they've decided is the right story. They just find information that sort of reinforces their point of view. They willingly ignore anything that is like, and it's interesting, like, too. I mean, I think that our educational system, has really, like, I don't know, maybe earlier, in an earlier time, there was more attention paid to sort of subject areas that taught critical thinking. But
Right.
generally, what we are creating, I think, most of the time, is just people who are specialized in a particular area, and they aren't actually good at broad application of knowledge, or like discernment or critical thinking skills. Like if it's outside the scope of their domain, they have a hard time of, because we're not actually teaching people how to think or assess
Yep.
Information, we're just sort of like, you just need to become a master at X, right? And it doesn't teach you the same like thinking skills. Like we should actually teach people how to think, and then they can apply that skill to whatever domain they're in. I actually think that the one subject area that seems to develop the best critical thinking skills, like on a broad level, this is what they've shown in like studies that they give people sort of like tests that discern critical thinking skills, and it's people who are economics majors, because the economic theory is more taught like this is a way to approach information, and you apply it to lots of different examples that aren't, like it could be in any industry or even like a person's personal life, right? You can apply the principles in a really broad range of
That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because as you're saying this, I'm thinking, um, the irony is that as we move into this age of AI, of something that is going to be doing,
Hmm.
is going to be filtering information for us and synthesizing information for us. I think the number one thing that we are going to have to do in terms of education is what we are going to be desperate for are critical thinkers, or people who can
Yeah,
critically think. And because we have to be able to check it, we have to be able to fact check it, we have to be able to uh, discern what is right and wrong in terms of the information that it gives us. We're going to have to be able to kind of shape it and craft it in such a way so it's correct, and it's
yeah,
uh complete, and it's, high quality. And so it's not that when we move into this new space, which is, I think, kind of inevitable, it's not that we're going to have this machine that's going to do all our thinking for us. It's that it's going to do it much more efficiently, but we're going to have to be actually better
yeah.
and and more adept at.
Yeah, the more narrow your skill set, the more replaceable it is, right? Like the and that critical thinking skill, like it requires us to not be beholden to the thing that we desire to be the story that like we want to tell, right? And
Yeah,
that's like one of the biggest pieces that I feel like we are clearly struggling with as a society. It's like we have to just like put a pin in that and just say like we
yeah,
actually have to evaluate the information as it is, and not say like, well, how does this fit into the narrative that I am trying to shape, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. So day five, too much information. Yeah, the drowning in content. So yeah, that again, he used a lot of water imagery. Information is a river, right? Uh,
Yeah. And it's
but
also like I don't know, I don't remember if this is I think, I mean, the other part is to this, the too much information, the information overload, the like beholden to the story that we're telling. Part of the biggest solution is to spend time in person with people, and also spend time in person with people who have different perspectives than you, that walk a different path, that see things differently, than that challenge, like in a good faith way, like can challenge
yeah,
your perspective. um I don't think we, like, many of us have retreated from that, or it seems that way. Like I just had a phone call yesterday with this woman who has started this really cool organization that she's written a bunch of books, and she has this like kind of women's empowerment organization, and she tells these stories of like grit and resilience. And
mhm,
she was just, she was kind of lamenting to me. She's like, it's just so hard to get people to show up to stuff in person. And it's like, it seems crazy that that is so difficult, but it really has become a real challenge and a real shift in the way that people are living their lives.
yeah. Well, yeah, and I do think this idea of too much information kind of goes hand in hand with what the day six is, which is, and I think that kind of showing up is part of both of these. And day 6 is you can't care about everything. Um, and this, because we're so inundated with all this information, the nonstop like crises and global news and
Yep.
injustice, and what we're called out to do, you know, in our culture, especially in social media and especially in, well, I'm sure in both progressive and conservative circles, is you have to, make your voice known. You have to call out injustice. You have to be active in doing things in these ways. And it's just not how we were not built to hold all of this.
Yeah, and it's not your sometimes it's like it's not your fight. Like it's not even
That's,
your and like that's
or you
I mean,
don't know enough to be able to make it
oh my
to
gosh.
choose a side, right?
Yep. 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 Oh my God. Yep. No,
So
it's
rather than
true.
kind of just saying, I'm sitting here listening, I'm going to be here and I'm going to observe and I'm going to listen, does not mean I don't care. It just means I don't know enough to be able to say, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to just follow the crowd. Um, but there was in this chapter, he talks about a guy who,
Yeah. Yeah. This was good. The Eric Hagerman
yeah, the
who
guy from Nike.
yeah, yeah. And he just kind of is like, I'm going off the grid. Like
I'm going off the information grid.
yeah, and then they like every New York Times writes like kind of a a scathing article about him and like he, kind of to the point of lack of empathy, right? Like people start trashing him and it's like meanwhile he's spending all of his savings like restoring wetlands on like he's like doing good work that he can actually do in his
Right.
real life,
Right.
you know.
He's not like on Bezos's super yacht.
Right, right. To go back to the yachts.
It's like,
Or it's like, oh well
or
if you
maybe
would
he
have got
is, but
but what's crazy is like if this guy had been like, well, I got on Instagram and I like posted something that was like anti-Trump, then people would be like, yay, and it's like I'm just gonna go like do make good in my part of the world and I'm gonna step
quietly do
away
this.
from like weighing in on stuff that like I'm like a business person who like works in shoes. Like this is not my
Right.
domain. I mean, that's part of what has become really interesting and crazy about our current contemporary culture is like politics has infected everything, every facet of life.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it.
And it's performative and yeah. And you know, I'll I'll quote a little scripture at you. But to me, it feels, you know, Jesus says, um, you know, do not pray in public. Go into your room, go out, go by yourself, go into the quiet. And, and he says, when you give money, don't tell people that you're doing it, just do it. You know, all the things that we're called to kind of do in a kind of in a Christian life. We're not supposed to perform it. We're not supposed to shout it from the rooftops. We're
Yeah.
supposed to just do it quietly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and um, and I think there's a real reason for that, because if you kind of look at what our culture is now, a
It's
lot,
only real if it's on the internet.
if it's on the internet. And honestly, most of the performative stuff is just performative. There's no actual embodied act. Well, I'm not saying no, but I had a friend who said, you know, she told me, she said, my mistake was I just thought the Democrats were going to save me. I just thought the Democrats were going to, I didn't do anything. I
Mm.
just kind of, um, what did she say? Like, I kind of like outsourced, you know, from with my vote to the people that I thought were going to do it all. And I
Hmm.
realized, no, I'm the person that has to do it. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really, really wise. So you can't care about everything. What can you do kind of in circle of
Small corner of the world, right? Like,
your
yeah.
circle of influence?
Yep.
And And honestly, those things that you care about, they don't it doesn't have to be political, you know?
No, it's actually like can be a lot more meaningful if it's not. If it's just about building relationships with people that you are in community with in real life. Like
Yeah,
that is really what life is. Life is not this performance for the internet and people that you don't really know or know you, you know. I think I don't know if you ever listen to or read Sam Harris. He's kind of like the most
yeah,
famous atheist that's out
yeah.
there, but he kind of famously went off of Twitter, now X, and he was like it has improved my mental health by 100%. Like he was like I was having like I literally got anxiety from being on
Sure.
social media so
Sure.
frequently. And another guy that I listened to, Scott Galloway, he was talking to Sam, and like Sam had shared how much it helped his life. And Scott was sort of saying, like, I think that when I think about the last 5 years of my life and the worst episodes, like my worst mental health moments were all related to social media.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is like a super smart guy.
Yes, yes, that are knowledgeable and they recognize that
Yeah.
what this stuff is doing to them. The kids came home. I don't know if you can hear that in the background.
Oh no, I
Oh,
can't.
okay, that's good. The my brother-in-law is here. He's got four kids. So there's they just got back. They went to visit the St. Louis Arch. So
Nice.
now they're all back and having some rough, moments of being tired this afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Well, I can't hear him, so we're good.
okay,
We're good. Okay, we're on day 7. So,
okay.
okay, so the last of this first week, day 7, let the future be the future. So,
Oh yeah, this is kind of what we were talking about before, where it's like being able to live in
the
right
moment.
now,
Yeah.
right? In reality and not in having a lot of anxiety about like what could be.
What could be. And I call this threat forecasting, right? When you're like, you're constantly kind of scanning the environment for what could happen. This is something I do all the time. I've done it almost as a practice, an unconscious practice. It's also something that I do. And if you are an Enneagram 6 or have a 6 wing, you probably do this too. Um, where if you start to feel anxious, one of the first things you'll do is kind of imagine kind of a devastating future and try to like plan for it or, figure it out or solve a problem that's not happening. Like what people call borrowing trouble, right? And it's definitely something to be aware of if that's something that your brain does.
Well,
Um,
he kind of talks about like that it's something that we're all kind of hardwired,
we
right,
all
to
do
to
it, but I
do
think
it.
some people do it more than others.
Way, yeah, it like really takes you on like
Oh yeah.
a real ride. Yep, yep.
Oh yeah. What was it? A friend of ours, we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Do you do this?" And she was like, "Oh my gosh. Like I'll be starting to cross the street and I'll immediately imagine like, what if I fall in the middle of the street and a car runs?" Like that instantly. It just happens like instantly.
Yep, yep. That's so funny. I don't really, the only time that ever kind of occurs to me, ever have that like when you go to the mall, I haven't been at the mall in a really long time, but that like that you're on like the second story and you look down and you're
Oh
like
yeah.
in those and you're like, what if I just jumped off of
What if I
here?
just
Yeah.
jumped? Yeah, that's why cliffs, I think cliffs, there's
Oh
something
yeah.
about
Yeah.
cliffs
Yep.
because, right? Because you stand on that precipice and you're like, I could jump.
Yeah.
Like I have the power right now to, yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, being able to recognize when it's kind of turning into sort of an unhealthy rumination
yes,
that isn't serving you, like there's no forward momentum to be created here.
right.
I was actually kind of coaching one of our younger colleagues on this the other day, and I kind of was told her like it's okay to have like when something happens that you think might be bad but you're not sure, like it's okay to be worried at first, but then you need to like kind of put it in its proper place and say, is there some action that I can take here, yes or no. Okay, if there is, what is it? Let's do that. And if the rest of it's just like, this is just speculation, it's not really serving me, don't spend any more energy on that, you know?
Correct. Gosh, I mean, and that's hard to do. That's hard to like delineate what is mine to do now, and then what am I going to leave for tomorrow and kind of trust that I'll be ready tomorrow to deal with whatever comes tomorrow.
Yep.
Um, but trying to solve tomorrow's problems today is not usually,
Not worth your time. Yeah.
no.
When you only have, you're immortal.
When
There's
you
limited time.
when you are mortal and you only have 4,000 weeks, because chances are it might not even happen. Right. Yeah. Oh man.
Well, so then that leads us to week 2. So for our listeners, if you have gotten through week 1, hopefully that was a good recap, reflection. Maybe you kind of added your own reflection to what we were sharing. Maybe some things connected, maybe some things were totally different than you absorbed them to be, which that's all good, right? All part of the process. And then hopefully you'll join us in 2 weeks as we talk about week 2.
So this week was about, the theme was being finite, and week 2 was about taking action. So I'm really excited for that. And thanks, Erin.
Hey, thank you. I'll get my book out. I'll read my chapter, and then I'll get a week or so to see how I take action. We'll see if it changes anything.
Sounds good. All
okay.
right.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us on Atheist. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share the episode with a friend. We really appreciate our listeners. It's because of you we keep growing and connecting with new people.
We always love hearing from our listeners. Get in touch with us at atheistpodcast.com, follow us on our socials, or leave a comment on this episode.
Atheist is produced by Justin Sywell of STL Podcasts.
Thank you for listening, and keep looking for connection.